American's ultimate high school football show is Channel 2's Sports Extra.
On World News Tonight this Tuesday, the bodyguard who survived the crash that killed the Princess of Wales. He says he does not remember. A new report on the nation's roads. We spend 4 times as much money fixing cars damaged by potholes as we do fixing potholes. And in our series about managed health care, what about the HMO that will not cover the cost of an emergency room visit, even if you are convinced it's an emergency?
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We're going to begin in Paris tonight, where there is an important development in the condition of the bodyguard who survived the crash with the Princess of Wales. Trevor Rees-Jones is now conscious and able to talk. And everyone, especially investigators, has been anxious to know whether he remembers anything about the fateful accident. As ABC's Richard Gisbert reports from Paris tonight, the answer tonight is he does not.
C'est dans le communiqué de presse.
The hospital spokesman would only say that bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones's condition has markedly improved, that he is conscious, able to communicate, but tires easily. But a source at the same hospital has told ABC News that Rees-Jones says he remembers nothing of the accident or the events preceding it, that the last thing he does remember is leaving the Ritz Hotel a few minutes before the crash. Police are expected to interview Rees-Jones within days, but it remains to be seen whether he'll be able to answer any of their questions on whether the crash that killed Princess Diana was caused by a drunk driver, the over-aggressive paparazzi, or both. There are many reports here that doctors have already warned police that Rees-Jones might suffer from at least partial amnesia, caused not just by his injuries, but also by the large amounts of anesthetic he has been administered since the crash. Specialists in brain injuries say this could be a textbook case of memory loss, if, as they suspect, Rees-Jones was knocked unconscious before the events immediately preceding the accident could be properly recorded into his long-term memory.
I'd say that he will never remember the accident. The natural history of recovery of memory after an injury is that the injured person can remember closer and closer to the incident, but they never remember the incident itself.
Investigators have already waited more than 2 weeks to speak to Trevor Rees-Jones. Now they must be prepared to conduct their investigation knowing that their key witness may never remember what caused the accident that killed Princess Diana. Richard Gisbert, ABC News, Paris.
Later in the broadcast, ABC's Jeff Greenfield will have a report on Diana and us, as in us, the media. And now to Washington. It's been nearly 3 months since tobacco companies and states' attorneys general reached a multi-billion-dollar settlement to resolve most claims against the tobacco industry. Tomorrow, President Clinton is expected to say that the deal as is needs to be revised. Here's ABC's John Donvan.
Aides to the president tell ABC News Mr. Clinton will endorse the idea of a nationwide settlement that builds on the deal now on the table. However, as the White House has signaled for several weeks, Mr. Clinton wants changes made in several key areas.
But we have to do it right, so I will do it as quickly as possible, working with the leadership in Congress, but I want to do it right.
Doing it right, say his aides, means focusing the entire settlement more on the goal of reducing youth smoking by doubling the potential penalties tobacco companies would have to pay if youth smoking does not go down. This reflects sentiment in the White House that the original deal, which would have cost tobacco companies $368 billion, was actually a bargain for these enormously wealthy corporations. Since the deal was announced last June, the White House has publicly insisted that it is merely an observer in this process. From tomorrow, that apparently will change. There will be a new phase. The president's team, according to aides, will be working actively with Congress as legislation on a national settlement is drafted. Peter?
John, we all know that public health officials, or some at least, are pretty upset about this. What about the aspect of FDA control over tobacco in the future?
The president is insisting on no limits for the FDA in controlling nicotine, and that, in fact, in some ways is going to help bring a lot of the parties of this together. Tomorrow, at the announcement ceremony, there will be members of the anti-smoking coalitions, and there will be members of the Attorney General's force that originally began the negotiations with the tobacco companies. A lot of these people were not really getting along And it's something that the president is getting them all in one corral for this move forward. However, the tobacco company's not happy about any of this and will not be here.
Okay, John Donvan at the White House, thanks very much. When we come back, we'll have some of the day's other news. Potholes are in the news today. Potholes and other potholes, the sorry state of the nation's roadways. The latest cause for Greenpeace trying to save itself, and why some HMOs are trying to make the emergency room off limits.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Tylenol.
So how's your headache?
Well, it's gone. That was fast.
So the Tylenol I gave you worked, even on your really tough headache.
Tylenol worked great, even on my tough headache.
So you were wrong.
I was wrong.
More than aspirin, more than ibuprofen. For headaches, doctors recommend extra-strength Tylenol the most.
I like a guy who can admit he's wrong.
I'm wrong a lot.
We drive family sedans, 4x4s, and small city cars. We carry groceries, we carry lumber, we carry life. And we all want to feel safe doing it. Making a lot of different cars and trucks makes us, well, the car company. Making them all deliver the things that matter most makes us GM. The company you count on wherever life takes you. General Motors, people in motion.
I thought I was buying the best cold cuts for these guys. Fat-free equals healthy, right? I was so wrong. You got to think about cholesterol, sodium. Oh, yeah, remember calories? Yeah, they still count. The Healthy Choice takes care of all that. And they have all of our favorites. Oven-roasted turkey, honey ham, bologna. They taste so good, you don't even think about it, which is why I think they're the only ones called Healthy Choice. We just eat what we like. That's simple enough. Get that?
There is a jarring report today on the state of the nation's highways, adjective intended. Two public interest organizations say that more than a quarter of the nation's urban and suburban roads are in urgent need of repair. And they say that the damage that these roads do to your car may add nearly $2,000 in extra maintenance. Here's ABC's Lisa Stark.
The report's findings are no surprise to many drivers.
I hit a pothole and it blew out my tire and bent my rim.
Wheel alignments, new tires, busted belts on my tires. I mean, it's just, it's pretty ridiculous, actually.
The report was done by two groups that study transportation and the environment. The state with the worst urban highways, Iowa, followed by Illinois, Florida, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Altogether, in 15 states, 1 out of every 3 miles of urban highways needs fixing. The best roads, they're in Georgia. The news for drivers in all this, bad roads cost them $4.8 billion a year in car repairs, and that is 4 times the federal dollars spent by states to patch the potholes. The study's authors say politicians are more interested in building new roads than repairing old ones.
We're not against new roads here. What we are saying is that maintenance is the first thing we should do.
No disagreement from Iowa, which spends millions on road repair, and the state disputes its worst ranking.
I do believe it's laughable, frankly. You know, when I look at the numbers that we report and the numbers they report, they are nowhere close to being the same.
But there's no dispute that many U.S. roads are in bad shape. Analysts say the real solution is to change the way we build roads, to hold contractors accountable for the roads they build.
We need to make sure that the people who build the roads recognize that if the roads are not sufficiently durable, they will not, in fact, get all the money they bid.
In other words, like the cars that drive on them, roads should come with a warranty. Lisa Stark, ABC News, Washington.
But a global comparison. It is not like this everywhere. While on average, the lifespan of a U.S. highway is 20 years, in many countries, they get a lot more for their money. Most Europeans design their roads to withstand changing temperature and moisture and the traffic for an average of 40 years. There's a difference in the roads. Many of Europe's roads are twice as thick and are made of asphalt to which a high-tech plastic is added. The result is a road surface more resistant to moisture and salt, and which also expands and contracts to meet the changing weather conditions. A more flexible road is less likely to crack and crater. They are more expensive to build in the first place. But there is less stress on the car, and owners pay fewer repair bills. A better American road is certainly a technical possibility. Road engineers in New York have picked up on an ancient Roman idea, and by adding common ash to concrete, the kind of ash that comes out of industrial smokestacks, they have produced a concrete which is stronger and less porous and much more resilient. The engineers say that roads made of this stuff would last 100 years. On Wall Street today, another very large advance. The Dow Jones Industrials gained nearly 175 points to close at 78.95. On the NASDAQ market, stocks gained more than 33 points. Investors are all apparently encouraged by the latest report on inflation, more specifically the lack of it. Consumer prices last month rose only 0.2%. When we come back, the coffees at the White House. Fundraisers or not?
Man has wanted to fly forever.
I'm gonna fly.
Woman has figured out how.
I've been strong all along. Now I'm gonna fly.
Introducing Easy Spirit Anti-Gravity with micro bubble cushioning that takes off the pressure. Easy Spirit Anti-Gravity. Never come down.
Oh, look at this face. Could I lie to this cuddly-wuddly little ray of sunshine?
Yepper, that's a Roger.
I mean, she loves this new Splash juice drink, right? She's like bonded with that light taste of tropical fruit juices. So what kind of nut job mom would say, honey, only Splash has 100% of both vitamins A and C. It's good for you because it's from V8. What, and risk destroying rare tantrum-free moments like these? New V8 Splash. Keep the peace. Don't tell the kids.
What do I want? I want to know I'm headed in the right direction. I want to keep my options open. I do want to take care of my family. I want to give something back. I want to learn, find what's right for me, be ready for anything, make the right choices. I want to find the people who can get me there.
American Express Financial Advisors can help you decide what you want to do and how to get there.
I want to say I made a difference. I want to do more.
This little girl is 16 days old, but she has been getting Pedigree Puppy for more than 9 weeks already. Her mother was fed Pedigree Puppy throughout her entire pregnancy. When these puppies are done weaning, they start on their own Pedigree Puppy food.
Pedigree, developed with vets, recommended by top breeders.
A neglected septic system is like a time bomb under your house. Diffuse it with maintenance and advanced formula Rid-X septic treatment. It digests grease and paper and helps keep your system trouble-free. Diffuse that time bomb. Use Rid-X every month.
Tonight on Nightline, they wanted to create the ideal race free of mental illness, tens of thousands of forced sterilizations, and it's not Nazi Germany. The dark side of the social welfare state on Nightline, followed by Politically Incorrect.
The Senate committee investigating campaign finances turned its focus on those White House coffees, as they've come to be known today. Mr. Clinton hosted more than 100 of them during the election campaign. The big question has always been, was money solicited at those meetings, and if so, who got it? ABC's Linda Douglas has some answers.
Until now, Attorney General Janet Reno has argued publicly that the money raised at those White House coffees may be legal, in part because it was so-called soft money. That means money for the Democratic Party, not for specific candidates. But now an ABC News analysis of contributions from people who attended the coffees shows that more than $667,000 was put into a fund that went to specific candidates. That is called hard money, and it's illegal to raise such money on federal property. Republicans again demanded that Reno seek the appointment of an independent counsel.
They were raising hard money, illegal money, in the White House, and she should appoint a special counsel. I don't see how she has any other choice.
Of course, the White House has insisted that the coffees weren't fundraisers at all, because no one was asked to contribute anything. But today, a businessman who attended one coffee testified that fundraiser John Wong made an outright pitch for money with President Clinton at his side.
He went on to say elections cost money, lots and lots of money, and I am sure that every person in this room will want to support the re-election of President Clinton.
Democrats cried foul, arguing Jackson once worked for Dan Quayle. And a Democratic fundraiser who was at the same coffee testified she never heard Wong ask for money.
He did not
say that. And I would remember if he said that.
For their part, White House officials said today it doesn't matter if Wong asked for money because the coffees were held in the White House residence, where they argue raising money is legal. Reno wouldn't talk about any of this today, but she's said to be furious with the pace of the Justice Department's investigation. In fact, late today, Reno's spokesman announced there has been a major shakeup in the Justice Department's team investigating campaign fundraising. Linda Douglas, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
One other note from the Senate as a whole. The Senate today unanimously confirmed Army General Hugh Shelton as the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. One of the world's most familiar organizations has acknowledged it is in terrible trouble, the environmental group Greenpeace, which has led the way in confronting those who they regard as doing harm to the environment, has been obliged to reduce its American operation dramatically. What does it mean? Here's ABC's Ned Potter.
They've always been the group most ready for a fight, protesting Navy nuclear tests by getting in the way of the ships, protesting whaling or oil drilling by getting themselves arrested.
I think the confrontational tactics are critical to the essential character of Greenpeace, and they always will be. It's a core principle for Greenpeace.
For years, the approach worked. By 1991, in the wake of the Exxon Valdez and other environmental insults, U.S. membership grew to 1.2 million people. But times have changed. People think many environmental problems are under control. Bill Clinton looks like a friend of the earth, and Greenpeace membership has dropped 2/3. For staffers like Mark Flogel, who gave 8 years to the cause, the layoff notices are a blow.
We don't see this as a job. We see this as a way in which we define ourselves. I'm an environmentalist.
Why did Greenpeace have to retrench so deeply? Maybe that confrontational image backfired. Other groups have done fine, talking with companies about reducing pollution instead of protesting outside their gates.
Each of our organizations has to change with the times, reinvent itself, so that we can be as effective as possible in solving problems.
But Greenpeace disagrees. Sure, maybe it needs some leaner management, it says, but you save more oceans by making picturesque protests than by lobbying like everyone else.
They may be working behind the scenes, but they're not going to the roots of the problems and taking it to the public.
Greenpeace will keep going, but it's having to re-examine itself at a time when it says the world's problems are as urgent as ever. Ned Potter, ABC News, New York.
Other news today, in Colorado, the Air Force has finally stopped looking for wreckage on the mountainside where an A-10 attack plane crashed last April. A private contractor is going to continue because 4 500-pound bombs are still missing. When we come back, HMOs which say you cannot go to the emergency room and won't pay the bill if you do.
Before you do this, you got to have this and this and this. Before you dial this, you got to have this, 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 and this, and this. Before you drive, or you ride, or you float, or you fly, somebody's got to make this and this and this. And you cannot make this or this or this until you have this, 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 and this. You gotta have a lot of these, or you can't have this. And if you want to have these, you want to have this and this and this.
No matter where you are, anywhere in the world, you are never very far from a Siemens product.
So if what you need is this, 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 or this, or this,
We are Siemens.
we can do that.
I guess I've been bringing the office home with me, because lately I've had some pain at night, and I just couldn't get to sleep. And then I'd worry about taking something. I mean, I'm at work pretty early, you know. How would I feel? But then I tried Tylenol PM. That's something I can trust. Well, the Tylenol PM stopped my pain. It helped me sleep. Next morning, I'm up and out and ready for my day. Nothing like a good night's sleep.
Rest easy. It's Tylenol PM.
On our health report tonight, the emergency room and HMOs. First of all, consider this. Americans make more than 100 million visits to emergency rooms every year, often under the most frightening of circumstances. What do you do when your managed healthcare provider tells you that they don't believe that you need emergency care, or that if you do go to the ER, they're not going to pay for it? Tonight in our series on your changing healthcare, ABC's medical editor Tim Johnson on the growing controversy about HMOs and the ER.
Less blood pressure, 88 on palpation.
It is a debate with critical consequences.
I need blood.
How much control should HMOs have over who gets emergency care?
We're going to take good care of you, okay?
Late one night, 10 months ago, Belinda Johnson called her HMO to say that her son, just 3 days old, had stopped breathing twice. Even so, the doctor on call did not want to authorize an emergency room visit.
Nothing I said convinced him that it was a situation that couldn't wait until the next morning.
But Johnson had one advantage that most mothers don't. She is an ER nurse. And when she told the doctor that, she says he changed his mind.
After we got to the hospital, he stopped breathing again. I'm thinking, if this isn't an emergency, what is?
These cases are occurring in every emergency department and in every community in the country.
Dr. John Moorhead is the vice president of the American College of Emergency Physicians.
It's gone so far as we've even had people die while attempting to get authorization to come to an emergency department for acute symptoms such as chest pain.
Pre-authorization is not the only way managed care is limiting access to emergency rooms. Another common practice is refusing to pay the bill after the fact.
I thought I was having a heart attack, you know. I went to emergency room. If I felt like if I had gone somewhere else or delayed more, I was putting my life in jeopardy.
Wendy Connolly did get her HMO to authorize her late-night trip to an ER. But when her racing heart proved to be a thyroid imbalance and not a heart attack, her HMO refused to pay.
Do you expect me to self-diagnose myself, determine that, no, I'm not having a heart attack or about to have a heart attack or something that is life-threatening to me?
Numerous cases like that one in Oregon prompted the state to investigate.
There were too many claim denials, there were too many appeals, and in the great majority of those cases, the company was discovering that, yes, we had made a mistake.
The HMO that denied Connolly's claim was punished with a fine. And this spring, Oregon passed a law to prevent these cases from occurring in the future. It requires insurance to cover emergency care as long as the patient has symptoms that an average person would regard as an emergency. But only 14 states have passed such laws, and ER doctors say that's not enough. They want to see a federal law passed which covers every patient in every ER across the country.
There's no question that patients' lives have been put in danger.
And no question that some HMOs will continue to make decisions based more on cost than on what the patient needs. Dr. Timothy Johnson, ABC News.
Well, that's some of the disturbing news about managed care, but as we reported in our poll at the beginning of the series yesterday, many people are very satisfied with their HMO. Tomorrow, some of the reasons why, including acupuncture and yoga. A couple of other health items tonight. Scientists say they have developed a new vaccine for Lyme disease that is 100% effective for people under 60. The disease, which is transmitted through deer ticks, can be very, very serious if left untreated. The vaccine will not be on the market for at least a couple of years. And doctors last year wrote 12 million prescriptions that were, in effect, useless. They were for antibiotics to treat colds that were actually caused by viruses. A report in the Journal of the American Medical Association says this simply helps bacteria become more resistant to antibiotics. When we come back, why we just can't seem to get enough of the Diana story.
Parenting is a constant learning process. What you have to do is prioritize.
Back in '88, Earl wanted to retire, spend more time with Tiger.
My dad taught me.
I met an American Express financial advisor. Dave is a personal friend of mine to this day. We trust each other because we've got a track record.
It's about making smarter decisions.
We're a team. And that's when dreams can happen.
American Express Financial Advisors.
If you can do this, you can make wood beautiful with Minwax. And if you can do this, you can give wood lasting protection. Turning a house into a beautiful home is as easy as turning to Minwax.
Lighten up your coffee with Carnation Coffee Mate Light and fat-free. And enjoy all the rich, creamy taste without all the fat. Your cup, your Coffee Mate.
1 Minute Maalox.
The other night I woke up at about 1 a.m. with heartburn. Bad, so I tried this new Mylanta AR. I should have taken Maalox.
1 Minute Maalox. You'll feel it cooling, coating right away. And clinical studies prove Maalox starts to work on stomach acid in about 1 minute, while Mylanta AR could take over 45 minutes.
In the middle of the night, I can't wait that long. I need something I know starts to work fast. I'll stick with 1 Minute Maalox.
For heartburn or acid indigestion, count on 1 Minute Maalox.
Hi, I'm Steve Bennett in Vancouver. Coming up next on Channel 2 News at 6:30 tonight, we'll take a look at what made this morning's commute so easy and see why some say the traffic troubles are still to come. Join us live from Vancouver on Channel 2 News at 6:30. Coming up next.
Finally this evening, Diana and us. When the Princess of Wales was killed, many of us in the news media were as surprised as anybody that her death generated the worldwide reaction it did. Before you say it, by which we mean the intensity of the reaction, and of course we in the media did contribute to keeping the story going, or do contribute. ABC's Jeff Greenfield on the apparently endless fascination.
If you've had trouble finding a book about the royal family during the last 2 weeks, don't worry. Warner Books is rushing 600,000 copies of Kitty Kelly's book on the scandals of the Windsor family to stores across the country, the first and likely most notorious in a coming flood. Today's newspapers were filled with head-shaking stories about that book, raising questions about taste and timing. And every inch of every story is feeding an apparently insatiable appetite that print and TV alike are still eager to fill. Time magazine's commemorative issue on Diana's death sold nearly 1 million newsstand copies, nearly double its previous record. The New Yorker magazine published its tribute issue 4 days early, the first time the magazine jumped its schedule in its 72-year history. And what about television? More than a week after the massive saturation of Diana's funeral, the fallout continues. For example, 2 shows on the CNBC cable network, Rivera Live and Hardball, have doubled their ratings by staying with the Diana story. Why has there been no let-up? Because in this age of total media, the shocking death of a world-famous celebrity creates a self-contained, self-sustaining universe in which massive coverage feeds a massive appetite, which in turn drives more coverage. This has been true since the dawn of mass media. When Rudolph Valentino, the first great romantic film star, died suddenly in 1926, 3 women killed themselves in grief, and many more tried. Ever since then, the sudden death of the super famous has commanded our attention, especially when they die young and glamorous. And whether it's tabloid sensationalism or high-minded analysis, like this, every item just adds more fuel to the fire. Jeff Greenfield, ABC News, New York.
And that is our report on World News Tonight. Later this evening on Nightline, a country that forced tens of thousands of women to undergo sterilization. I'm Peter Jennings. Hope to see you tomorrow. Have a good evening and good night. From midwives to acupuncture, what HMOs are willing to pay for to get your business.
You're changing healthcare on ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings tomorrow.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now always on.